Yep.
Hi, Sharice Wilson from Manheim. So I just wanted to circle back to the comments that were made about innovation and the fact that Xerox focuses on ideas, value creation, things that solve complex business problems, and things that you're really good at. But how do you accelerate that funnel so that you're honing in on the ideas that are profit optimal? I understand there's a lab at Xerox Park on things you aren't necessarily good at, but what about the things you are good at? And then accelerating, so that they're profit optimal, so that you're monetizing what you're really good at.
So
This is
first of all,
prioritization, I guess. Yeah.
the lab at Xerox Park doesn't focus on things we're not really good at. The lab at Park actually has freedoms to work on other people's business problems as well as our own. So that's the difference with the Park Lab. One of the things that we do, it's going to sound really simple, but it's not, is we actually work with customers. Our lab guys, so our lab, we have 5 labs, 4 and 1 small one in India, 4 pretty large ones, and we have what we call dreaming sessions with customers. Now, what does that mean? We actually invite customers in, or we go to their workplaces, either one is fine, and it's part of the process for our researchers. This is not my sales guys. This is not my systems guys or manufacturing guys. These are our researchers. They spend time at P&G and say, look, we don't ask you questions about, so what's your problems? We look at how you work and how you think, and actually how you process information, and what do you do in a day. And we build up a set of understanding about where we see how they work and how challenged they are around certain areas of their business, particularly work process areas. And we use that as a guide. The researchers use that as a guide for how they can actually help Xerox Corporation understand where to focus its research energy for the things that we are concerned about: document technology, business processes, etc. That's one. Second is, I have very little expectation. This is going to be sacrilege when people hear it, that our researchers will actually find a whole bunch of stuff that will make billion-dollar businesses. I have a hope that will happen, but we don't have a set of screens that say, so how much revenue how much revenue will your thing develop in a year? I actually have a huge amount of respect, I was just talking to Steve about this, for actually dreaming and thinking about things, and trying hard things, and failing a whole lot. And out of that failing a whole lot, this is my research team. This is not my engineers. This is my research guys. We hire them out of the best schools with PhDs so that they can actually think about stuff. And I've heard, before I became CEO, I was really panicked about this. I heard people talk about, we have what they call directed research. We have time gates for invention, for discovery. Time gates for discovery? I'm like, how do you do that?
Some people be creative.
Yeah, invent today. So I actually think that there's a large amount of flexibility that we should be able to give our research people. And with that, with a set of disciplines, with knowledge of what the customers want, with really good intimacy about what we do for a living, out comes more things than they can possibly work on as ideas that they should be working on. And then they head down that path. But I don't think that there's like this science where you can do, study. We actually hire ethnographers, social scientists, who actually think about how people do things. And I remember when we first started doing this, when I first learned that we were doing this was before I was CEO, I'm like, what the heck do we need these guys for? I mean, we need some physicists and some chemists, etc. And the smartest move in the world. Because the problem is not what can you think about how to do a set of nanotechnology things, is what the hell could you use this stuff for? What could people use this for? And that's where we continue to look at it. We continue to push. I continue to push. Our lab managers continue to push to try to get out there and understand, what do people do for a living? How do they do their work? Where do they get stuck? What's possible? What's possible? And I think that's what it is. Different from engineers, by the way.
Yeah, there's some very confusing examples out there right now. I mean, Apple Computer didn't have a big market research panel that said make the iPod.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't happen. And so Apple's they're confusing everyone, and I think you have to keep in mind, he is a 1 in every 100 years.
Yeah.
I really think that. I think he's at Edison level, and it's impossible to replicate.
Yeah.
You cannot. And what they're doing there, I think, is It's a combination of two things. This is one of the stupidest things I'll say tonight, but I'll say it. Is that they're using common sense. The common senseness in these devices, they're not putting all the crap in that people don't want.
Yeah.
Taking everything out.
Yeah.
So common sense coupled with high level of leadership.
Yeah.
Because Steve is saying yes to everything or no to everything. And so I think that.
But I do believe that the approach is exactly the approach I'm talking about. He didn't say, well, I'm gonna invent music. He didn't say I'm gonna invent music storage. He said, let me look at what the hell people are doing with these things that they have. And by the way, I'm nowhere near, I wish I were, right? So we're nowhere near Steve Jobs. But when you think about what happened, you said, man, oh man, this is the most logical solution to a very obvious problem.
Right.
I have a 16-year-old who had one of those player things, those CD players.
That is,
And
yeah, an old one,
remember?
yeah.
And she would carry around these disc things. Those, and she would have to take them out and put them in. So he didn't say, well, I'm gonna try to figure out a way to store music. He said, look at this problem. I don't know if this is the way he came about it, but market research or not, this is a business problem waiting for a solution.
Yeah.
This is a social problem. These things get scratched, they carry them around. It's ridiculous. They gotta take them out and take them in. Why wouldn't you make it accessible, all of the music? And the holders got to be that big.
That's the common sense
That's
part.
common
But
sense.
then he needed the high level leadership to say no to this, no to
I got
this,
it.
and yes to this. So,
That's
yeah.
not innovation. That's not the innovation part. That's the leadership part.
Yeah.
Alright, so back to this point, so how do you get it done? You walk around and look at the
Say
client
that's
and
good,
say,
that's bad.
you say to yourself, my God, why do these people, isn't this a very clunky way to get access to your music?
Right.
I don't know if this is the way it happened, but boy, when you think about the solution, you say, that's obvious. God damn it, what is that obvious? That's the best type of solution in
Yeah.
the world. Right?
Other question? Oh, over here. How many minutes? Okay, so next question, sorry.
You should get out in the middle of selecting the
I
people.
know.
Hi, Ursula, thanks for your comments. I'd like to go back to one of the questions you raised early on, that you didn't quite understand why those bright young sparks don't choose innovation and technology and instead end up in investment banking and the like. There are really two reasons, and I was hoping you could shed some light on how to counteract that. One, of course, as you mentioned, is the money. And the second part, though, I think I saw firsthand when I graduated from the East Coast School. And I was drawn into the same question, and I went to Wall Street for 10 years before I finally got enough of that and wound up here. But the main reason for the choice there was because there was insufficient information in the educational programs to tell the students